You know me, I am primarily a cruiser pilot. I have been a cruiser pilot since the start of the game. Of course, I love to fly battleships and battle cruisers as well, but now, for the first time, I have jumped in a capital ship. This is the Revelation Dreadnought. And, well, I think most of you already know that my goal Dreadnought is the Chemosh. Once that ship is released, I'm definitely going to be flying one. But for now, the Revelation will do the job just fine. Now let's take a look at the ship stats for the Revelation. The Revelation has a 400% Intelligence Link activation time roll bonus, and all Dreadnoughts have the jump drive. Capital Laser Operation bonus will give you plus 5% capital laser damage, minus 10% capital laser capacitor need, and the Dreadnought command bonus will give you plus 4% armor resistance on all damage types. Overall, really nice. Let's take a look at the attributes and fitting. The Revelation has 3 high slots, 5 medium slots, 8 low slots, 3 combat and 3 engineering rigs. All Dreadnoughts have a fuel tank. This is where you store the fuel for the jump drive. Very important to keep an eye on the fuel tank. You don't want to be out of fuel if you have to make a long jump. The Revelation is primarily a armor tank. It has very good base resistance points, and on top of that you get a nice 20% extra from the skill per level bonus. The Revelation has a pretty big capacitor. Of course, the recharge time will be slow because it's a very beefy capacitor. Signature radius is 9.5 kilometers, scan resolution 80 meters, flight velocity 91 meters per second, warp speed 1.5 astronomical units per second, and of course, all Dreadnoughts are basically bricks. The maneuverability on these things is very low. So don't expect these things to be fast. Of course, unless it is a Angel Dreadnought, which is still not in the game. But at one point I think that we will get a Angel Dreadnought. Now let's take a look at the fit. This is where things get interesting. You might be wondering, well, this is a Dreadnought. What is that? 790.68 VPS. Well, Dreadnoughts have actually very low DPS outside of the Siege mode or outside of the Showdown mode, but at the end of the day I will still call the Showdown mode the Siege mode because it's just easier to say. 65.52 km optimum range, accuracy fall of 19.5 km, tracking speed 0.58, almost 2000 EM damage and 1.2000 the thermal damage. Overall, really good alpha. I have dual webs, 1 scrummer and dual target painters, although you can use 3 webs, 1 scrummer and 1 target painter, or 3 target painters, 1 scrummer and 1 web, depends on the situation. I have dual adaptive armor hardeners, 1 reactive, 1 damage control, dual capacitor batteries, and dual capital armor repairers. This is basically the fit that I really like on the Revelation. The armor repairs repair a lot. Of course, the activation time is 21.8 seconds. It takes a while for 1 cycle to complete, but they repair a lot of armor. And the Siege mode does give extra bonus on armor repair and DPS, and of course other things. This is the rig setup that I would go for with the Revelation. I did take the same fitting philosophy from my other tanky ships, and I made the Revelation as tanky as possible. These are the base resistance points, 1.7 million effective hit points on cold resistances, 63, 75, 72 and 70% resistance, 351,000 armor hit points, capacity runtime 10 minutes and 32 seconds, 9.5 km is the signature radius, 121 meters per second is the maximum flight velocity. Now we have this funny little fit that I might actually use because it's ridiculous. I have a little bit more cold DPS now, a lot more alpha damage, and of course the thermal damage has been improved as well. The base armor resistances are still very nice. Of course, I would not recommend that you use this build in a capital versus capital fight. Works really well in a small fleet where the Dreadnought is I guess the flagship. Works well at a gate camp, works well in a small battleship fleet as well. And well, let's take a look at the active stats. Now I figured out that the Revelation is a little bit too big for the station, and it is kinda hard to appreciate the ship model. And here you can take a good look at the Revelation. I'll make sure to make the video in 4K so that you can experience the ship at the highest possible quality. Again, a very beautiful ship model. They did put a lot of effort into the graphics on the Dreadnoughts. Now, usually I have all modules on one page, but Dreadnoughts have a lot of modules, so I have to use the second page option for the modules. Let's enter the siege mode. I like the little effect where the turrets pop out when you enter the siege mode. And now the DPS is 9.4 thousand. Now we're talking about some nice DPS on a tanky build, because I haven't changed the rigs. Now let's take a look at the active DPS. On one heatsink it's 10,000, dual heatsinks it's 12,000, 3 heatsinks should be around 13,000, okay, and 4 heatsinks the DPS is the same. Interesting. Well, okay, for some reason the 4th heatsink is not working. Oh well, maybe I did mess up with the module. 20,000 alpha damage on EM, 12,000 damage on thermal, on one turret. That's around 60,000 alpha damage on 3 turrets. That's enough to pop a lot of battlecruisers. Definitely enough to hit a battleship. The siege mode has a 120-second cooldown time, so you can't swap the siege mode on and off in a rapid time frame. And you can also take a look at the other stats. Armor repair plus 100%, shield boost also got improved, and the cycle time was greatly reduced on the armor repairs. And you cannot move if you are in siege mode. As you can see, your ship is basically stationary. You can't warp. The warp will be disabled. So once you enter siege mode, you're practically stuck there for 2 minutes. And I think you can't even dock in siege mode. Yep, you can dock in siege mode as well. Now, one funny thing that I will show you. Where is the navigation? 10,000 warp stability. Okay, well, you're definitely not going to go anywhere with that. 5.08 light year is the jump range on this Revelation, which is okay. Should be able to reach a lot of systems in one jump. And one little feature that I will show you, you can actually see the jump range on the Sino map here, and this is basically the range of my Revelation here. That's how far I can jump in one jump. Okay, let's dock and let me swap the build. Now let me show you the tanky build on the Revelation. I think this is the fun part. I like to have my dreads as tanky as possible, because after all, the base DPS that they come with is more than enough for basically anything. Now 6.6 thousand is the DPS. Now it was reduced by 3.3 thousand, or it's actually reduced by 50% from the hot DPS. Alpha damage is still really good, 16,000 and 10,000. Defense 3.1 million, 85, 89, 87 and 86% resistance on all damage types. It's really good, really nice so far. That's without the damage control being activated. Let's activate the damage control for the extra 13 seconds active time. And well, 9.2 million is now the effective hit point. 95, 96, 96 and 95% resistances. Now, the damage control is there as a panic button in case your capacitor runs low and if you are preparing to jump through the gate or something like that. So the damage control will mostly be inactive. We'll be working in a passive mode, but the active mode on the damage control will not be used that much. When you enter siege mode, you can take a look at the extra armor repair bonus and at the activation time. It is greatly improved. You're practically repairing a third of armor every 10.9 seconds on this revelation, and it's really hard to break that tank. Now, large repairers use a lot of capacitor, and that's why all dreadnoughts need to have capacitor batteries. Every cycle uses around 5% of capacitor, so it is really nice to pair the armor repairers or shield boosters with capacitor batteries. Ideally, you want to use 3 or 4 capacitor batteries to run the armor repairers permanently, but in my case, I really don't have to use more than 3 capacitor batteries. Unless I get jumped by 50 dreadnoughts, then I would need 3 or 4 capacitor batteries, but for what we do and for Syndicate, basically dual armor pairs with dual capacitor batteries is more than enough, because I don't plan to keep my armor pairs running at all time. Well then, enough for the intro part, I know. Let's go out and let's blast some ships with the revelation. This is the fun part. First target for today we have a Macarial. Now let's see how much damage I'll do on a battleship. 36,000. First hit, almost depleted the shield in one hit. And this Macarial has the Neon Ray nanocore. Well, it is a very good looking Macarial, that's for sure. Although they have some good resistances as well. I have modified my build a little bit. I have one tracking computer and one micro updrive, but the rest of the modules is the same. Macarial is now into a hole. Target painters do help really well so far to help hit battleships, cruisers, you know, things like that. And the Macarial has been destroyed. Very nice first kill. Well, that was a nice kill mill. Let's take a look at this. 5.2 billion, my apologies. Not bad. The loot fairy wasn't quite generous to us today. The Macarial carried 3 faction drones. Oh well, I guess that's okay. Next target we have another Macarial. Dual tracking computers. This Macarial is moving, so the accuracy will be a little bit lower. And I should activate one tracking computer per hit. That's something that I need to get used to. A little mistake, but in the end it's not that serious. If you want to make a dreadnought miss your ship, then orbit. Dreads have very poor tracking, and if they are in siege mode, the tracking will be impacted as well. So the best thing to do is orbit. That way the damage that your dreadnought will take, the damage that your ship will take from a dreadnought will be vastly reduced. Now what do we have here? We have a Armageddon and Raven that have jumped us. The primary target is the Raven, secondary target will be the Armageddon. The Armageddon might actually be going for the gate. We will see what will happen. They have locked me on. Raven is now into armor. The Armageddon is actually approaching me. Okay, that's interesting. Raven lost armor. One more hit on the Raven should be enough. Secondary target Armageddon. Raven has been destroyed. Let's focus fire on the next battleship. I think they're actually burning to the gate. Well, I guess not. They actually engaged the Dreadnought. Interesting. First hit, and the Armageddon is now into armor. They are using one neutralizer and dual Nosferatu, and they are definitely using a reactive armor hardener, because the damage that I'm doing has been greatly reduced. My friend has rammed the battleship, and I did miss the second shot because the target was moving. Second hit, 8,000 damage. Okay, they have a good tank, that's for sure. I would say they also have one damage control. Second hit, the armor on the battleship slowly going down. The next hit should go into hull. That was a big hit. They are still repairing armor, but the hull has been severely damaged, and one more hit should be enough to shoot down the Armageddon. Nice! That was a nice kill. Not quite sure why the Armageddon decided to engage. I think they could have easily jumped through the gate. Not quite sure what happened here. I think we got jumped, but it did not end well for the battleships. Okay, let's go to the next little fleet fight. Now, originally, I planned to use the revelation for this. We have been expecting the incoming fleet for 1 hour. But unfortunately, I made a little mistake, and they have seen the cloaky Dreadnought. And of course, they decided to dock up. So I swapped to the Belgorn and returned to the gate. And of course, they warped back. And we have one Malar Interdictor, Armageddon, Apocalypse, and a Tempest. Primary target will be the Armageddon. Secondary target will be Apocalypse. And the next target after the Apocalypse will be the Bubble. Although I see the Bubble is trying to burn away, so let me point and web the Bubble while I focus fire on the Apocalypse. Or in this case, I guess I will focus the Bubble while I will use the Nosferatus and Neutralizer on the Apocalypse. The Bubble has very nice armor repair, but the Bubble has been destroyed. Next target is the Prophecy. They have a very nice armor tank. I believe they also use the damage control with adaptive and reactive armor hardeners. Basically a very nice armor tank based on how much damage I do, or should I say how little damage I do to the armor of those battleships. Apocalypse has been destroyed, and the last target is the Tempest. They have been pointed and webbed. I maintained a orbit around these ships with the micro warp drive enabled at all time. Basically, this is how I fly cruisers. This is how I fly the Ashmu. The Balgorn works very similar to the Ashmu. They both share the same orbit range. This is a very tanky Tempest as well. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 battleships, and we are having some trouble to go through the armor of the Tempest, but eventually they have been destroyed. Very nice. Good fight to the team. They did well, and I have to say they were brave for actually returning, because I actually thought about coming back with the revelation, but at the same time I felt kind of bad because it would be ridiculous if I just dropped the revelation again. So I guess using the Balgorn ensured that both sides had fun. Next target we have a Megatron Striker. First hit depleted the shield. Now they are into armor. Next hit. Well, okay, they have some armor resistance, I guess. And the third hit should be enough. There we go. Megatron has been destroyed in couple hits. Now, the alpha damage of 60,000 that you can get with 4 heatsinks is very nice, but I still kinda prefer to have the Dreadnought tanky, because you never know what can happen. I prefer to have a tank, just in case I get rammed off the gate. Well, next target. We received intel that there is a Armageddon on the way, and we are waiting for the Armageddon to show up. There is the Armageddon, a red one as well. Okay, let's lock them on. First hit, they are into low armor. Let's see if the second hit will be enough. And it will. Nice. Another battleship has been destroyed. Now I forgot to mention one thing about the siege mode. Don't enter the siege mode or don't enter the showdown mode if your dreadnought is moving, because you are not going to be able to stop the ship from drifting into space, and that can be dangerous, because in my case, let's say I jump in the gate and I burn to the gate and I enter the siege mode. I will technically burn away from the gate and I can drift away from the gate without any means to stop the ship on time. That can be dangerous if you get caught. That's how a dreadnought can be destroyed. Now, the next target, we have a Raven, a tanky Raven. They are burning to the gate. A Raven in 50% shield. Well, now it's around 20% shield. They use the passive shield tank. As you can see, a very tanky Raven still can take a couple hits from a Revelation. Technically, if you use dual adaptives and one reactive with the same build that uses shield extenders, you can technically survive 30 to 45 seconds under direct fire from a Revelation, because the reactive shield hardener will help reducing the damage, because the lasers only do EM and thermal. Now, this is one of the funniest kills that I have ever had. This industrial ship popped in and was lurking around, cloaked for maybe 30 minutes, and eventually we have found the industrial ship, and well, they have been destroyed. Now, that might be one of the best industrial ship kills that we had so far. It dropped around 2.1 billion in loot. Unfortunately, it did not drop the outpost, but it dropped a ship and it dropped a lot of other valuable stuff. Next target, we have a Cinnabal, and this is where I did not hit the target, because a fast moving cruiser is going to be a little bit difficult to hit with a dreadnought. Next target, we have another Cinnabal. Now, you can hit a cruiser if they are webbed, and this is going to be a good demonstration for that. First hit with tracking computers, missed. Now the Cinnabal has been webbed, scrambled, and well, the Cinnabal got hit. One hit is practically enough to destroy cruisers with a dreadnought. That was next target. We have another faction cruiser. We have one Ashimo. This Ashimo trying to quickly burn away from the gate, but they are well into the bubble. Let me prepare the target painters. They're still moving, okay, they haven't been webbed yet. They have been webbed and scrambled, and well, that was enough for the capital lasers to be able to hit the faction cruiser. Nice, another nice faction cruiser has been destroyed. Next target, we have a battle cruiser. Let's lock them on. Now, for battle cruisers, you don't need to have them webbed, although it is recommended to web all targets, because if they start using the afterburner or the micro warp drive, then the tracking will be insufficient to hit the target. Next target, we have a Gnosis. The target before the Gnosis was a Stabber fleet, but that was destroyed before I could lock on. First hit did not do a lot of damage. That's because I am not in the siege mode. As you can see, my ship is moving and I can't really stop the ship on time, so I had to shoot the Gnosis outside of the siege mode. And now let's stop the ship. Next target, we have a Brutix, waiting to lock them on. Dreadnoughts surprisingly lock targets very quickly, very similar to a battleship, although the battleships lock on slightly faster. And this Brutix was also destroyed. Very nice kill as well. You know, if you want to do the Conquer Pass, the PvP Conquer Pass, just fly a Dreadnought in a gate camp. Next target, we have a Prophecy. Well, we had a Prophecy, not anymore. Now the Prophecy is just a wreck. One shot, one kill. This reminds me of the KV2 from World of Tanks, when you enter a tier 6 match, where you just load high explosive and just blast all tanks. It's very funny. And this ship gives me the same feel. Now that Drake took 2 hits to destroy, but still, you know, did a lot of damage on the shield. Let's go towards the next target. That's just how the revelation works. Next target, we have a Prophecy. We had a Prophecy. Another drone boat got destroyed. Let's go towards the next one. Another battle cruiser. And we have a frigate. Well, let's try to hit the frigate with the capital ship. Now, it will take a long time to lock on interceptors. It will take a long time to lock on frigates. So there is no way that I'll be hitting that frigate with this ship. It got destroyed before I could lock on. That's okay. I got the big ship kill. Next target, we have a Cyclone. Now this Cyclone activated the damage control, and it did survive the first hit. It did survive the second hit because it's moving and the tracking cannot keep up with the ship. Third hit should be enough, and there we go. Cyclone has been destroyed. well, let's go towards the next battle cruiser that will be unfortunate enough to jump within the optimal range of the Revelation. Although I have to admit, it is kind of satisfying to just pop ships with the Revelation. Next target we have a Cyclone, I guess another Cyclone. First hit 19,000. This Cyclone was moving with the mic warp drive, but I did manage to hit them before they could start moving at the high velocity, and well, it was a nice kill. Next target, another Brutix. This Brutix has depleted shields for some reason. Now they are into low armor, low hull, and they got destroyed before I could lock on. That's okay. If they had full shield, then I would be able to lock on time and probably steal the kill. Next target, we have a Ferrox. It is also important to position the Dreadnought so that the ships that are burning to the gate will basically have a 90-degree approach angle towards your ship. That way, even if they are moving at let's say 2 kilometers per second, you are going to hit them if they are going on a 90-degree angle towards your ship. And I think I should start utilizing that a lot more with the Revelation, because that way, even if we don't web the target on time, then I can still hit them and potentially destroy them in one hit. That's just the tactics and ideas that I found out were really good for capital ships. And the last target for today, we have another battlecruiser, the prototype that I used to fly a lot back in the day. Cannot wait for the actual ships to be released, and of course they have been destroyed in one hit. Well then, definitely a different experience. I would say. Is it very easy to fly a capital ship? No, definitely not. Trust me. Flying this is kind of stressful, and it's kind of difficult because the thing is slow. You have to really be careful what you're doing. You can't really warp everywhere because it takes like 30 seconds to align. I have to use the mic warp drive trick every time I want to warp to the gate or to the station just to align the ship faster. So Dreadnoughts definitely have their interesting place in the game. And at the moment, I enjoyed flying this actually. Not quite sure if my corp mates enjoyed me popping 50 ships in a row, but my apologies for that. I apologize to my corp mates for stealing kills. They're probably going to laugh at this anyway, so probably going to make some jokes of that in the corp chat. I can already see that happening. In any case, I still plan to fly the Revelation. Cannot wait for the Tremors. That thing is going to be the flagship. I can tell you right away, the Tremors is going to be the ship that I'll definitely fly for a very long time. This Revelation will be used. It has its purpose. It will have a lot of other interesting moments, but for now, that would be it for today. Hope that you enjoyed. Stay safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.